to talk to us about is NFT Buff. And
good evening, everybody. My name is Shay Lufawatunde. An absolute pleasure being here this evening. Spare us a few moments, we'll get us all loaded. So I'll start off by giving you guys the name of my company. So the name of my company is called Deliciae. Deliciae means luxury in Latin. And for me it was very important, the name, and I'll kind of elaborate as to why I went with that. So for me, I look at the NFT space as an incredible and all-encompassing space. And for me, Deliciae is centered around connecting the NFT community with three pillars. So the first one being as looking at it from digital NFTs, the second one being from physical NFTs, and the third one being on experiential-based NFTs. That's the one. Sure. So what I'll do is I'll start off by giving you some figures, just to kind of give you a bit of a lay of the land of the NFT space. So the first figure I'll start off with is with 80 million. The second figure which I'll give you is 15 billion. The third one to it is 3,412, and then the last one, last but not least, is $6.4 million. Now the first figure that I told you was 80 million. 80 million represents the number of NFTs which are currently housed on the popular NFT marketplace called OpenSea. If we rewind to the beginning of last year, they actually had 5 million NFTs on their platform. At that point in time, they were actually recording $5 million a week in sales. If you fast forward to September of last year, that figure rose to 36 million NFTs on their platform. Interestingly though, at that moment in time, across 7 days, they actually recorded in sales volume $1.1 billion in sales. Now if you fast forward to the beginning of this year, not only has that figure risen to over 80 million NFTs on their platform, at this point in time, in the first 11 days of this year, they actually recorded $2.4 billion in sales. Now, the second figure which I gave you was 3,412. It's taken from the popular NFT marketplace called Foundation. So that's an auction-based platform. In the month of March, they saw user growth of over 900% in just one calendar month. Now, looking at the next number is 50 billion. That's taken from a Morgan Stanley report which was published at the end of last year, which actually covered luxury in the metaverse. And then last but not least, we have the Dolce & Gabbana drop, which is quite a popular drop, one of my favorites, as I'm a Dolce & Gabbana fan, obviously. Yeah. What's quite interesting, they done like a really interesting drop, which again was a combination of three different pillars. It combined digital, physical, as well as experiential. The combined value of the 9 one-of-one pieces was $6.4 million. And what was interesting with that was all amassed in under 72 hours. Now, if you look into the next thing, if we narrow down and look at just the top 10 NFT marketplaces, 3 of which were founded in 2020, they've amassed over $1 trillion in sales, which for me is particularly very fascinating. And now, if we look at like the sales volume of last year, it amassed over $12 billion in sales. If we look at that from a market cap perspective, back in 2017, the market cap for NFTs was $30 million. By 2020, that figure rose to over 250 million. And then last but not least, if we look at like the average NFT sale on a very popular NFT marketplace called Super Rare, back in April of last year, it was about 2.15 Ethereum, which at that moment in time would have been around $5,800. Now, whilst that is an incredible lay of the land which I've just laid, I say it still goes without saying that there are challenges within the space. And I think first and foremost, I'll put it down to the market can be considered very saturated. And I say that from a standpoint of looking at it from low quality stroke value assets. And then I say secondly, in terms of actually differentiating what's a genuine NFT project to a crypto scam, which we've currently seen a lot of at this moment in time. And then last but not least, looking at it from like a privacy standpoint as well. Where whilst it's very good that crypto is very transparent, it can also make people vulnerable to potential criminal activity, which I think is definitely something worth noting. Now, what is the solution for this? And for me, undoubtedly, it's Deliciae. So Deliciae, like I said, is built on 3 pillars. And those pillars, the first one being in terms of luxury offering. And when I say luxury offering, just to kind of give you an idea in terms of what I'm referring to, I'm not just talking about digital NFTs. I'm referring to stuff like 18-karat gold membership cards, one of which I actually have in my hand right now. And the ideology behind putting this membership card together was that it wouldn't just be a nice piece of gold card, but there would actually be some interesting utility behind it. And that utility would make reference to things like an actual exclusive concierge service which would be attached to it, which will give you access to stuff like private jets, yachts, chefs around the world and things of that nature. And then looking at it in terms of art pieces, like for instance that piece there, it has 600 VS diamonds, 20,000 Swarovski crystals, and actual 24-karat gold, which you kind of see being placed in there. In regards to innovation, that kind of looks at it from like a design perspective. In building the platform, I didn't really want it to be like the existing platforms. And that's not knocking anybody, I think they've all done an incredible job. But it's more from a standpoint of I really wanted to really capture that word luxury. And then looking at it from a protection standpoint as well. And I think it goes without saying, there's no I in team. So I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the incredible people who I work with. I have an incredible set of advisors. Someone like, for instance, Michael Carlton, who is the ex-CEO of a popular betting company called BetVictor. I have, for instance, Iris. Iris runs a very popular NFT creative agency out in Atlanta. She also works quite closely with Rock Nation. And I have actually had the pleasure of speaking with Jay-Z's manager as a result of some work that I've done within the NFT and crypto space. And then we also have my core team as well. Next. And why me? Why Shay Lufa-Otunde? And I think it goes without saying, it's probably my favorite saying. And this was a saying I was told well over 15 years ago. And it's a successful person is the person who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at. And I feel like it's pretty much testament to my life, and probably testament to a lot of people's journey in this room. On top of that, last year I was actually one of the selected Barclays Black founders who went on the accelerator. I'm hoping that there's a lot of people in this room who may potentially be applying for the current one, which is about to start. We have Paul's in the audience, who was actually on the last year's one as well. And in terms of my go-to-market strategy, why am I so confident that this is going to be a massive success? And I think one of the reasons being is that in a very short space of time, I've been very fortunate to acquire some very, very important NFTs. And one of them being, which I'll kind of start off with, is the first official Michael Jackson song. So this is a song called Whatever Happens. And we're going to be auctioning off 10% of the future earnings from that particular song, and that auction will be taking place on my marketplace. On top of that, because of the work I've done inside the space, I'm very fortunate to say I was introduced to Lauren Hill's camp. I'm working with her at the moment on a really interesting range of NFTs. On top of that, in regards to like partnerships, we've secured the likes of, for instance, Shifa & Co, who is a very popular celebrity jeweler, Anthony Joshua's jeweler, as well as a number of other celebrities. And looking at it in terms of where we've already been featured, I recently got featured in Forbes Africa, been featured in CoinDesk, had clients featured in New York Times, Vice, and a number of other very popular publications. And just looking at in terms of our roadmap, in terms of artists, featured artists that are on there, we've got, for instance, All Smiles. He's a very popular NFT artist from Afghanistan, and in the space of 6 months, he moved to America, but in the space of 6 months, quite a long story short, his NFT portfolio sold for over $30 million.